What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm about to talk about braking in an emergency, or hard braking in general. On my way here, just as a side note, guys, I literally almost flew off the wheel because the wind was so strong and I was trying to ride up to 38 miles an hour in the wind. You know what I mean? It was brutal, guys. Don't ride that fast in the wind. So the first things first, this is going to be a very short video. Basically, braking at high speeds is very simple. If you brake at high speed between 30 and 38 miles an hour, if you're going at that rate of speed and you attempt to do an emergency braking, you're going to encounter wobbles if you do not brake properly. What does that mean? Well, if you don't stoop, you're going to encounter wobbles. If you stoop properly, then that's going to immediately get rid of any wobbles you might have in any emergency. All right? So what I will demonstrate is accelerating to a high rate of speed and just abruptly trying to stop. Now, obviously, there's no mashing of the brakes like cars or scooters or motorcycles. That doesn't exist for electric unicycles. We don't want that because that will catapult us into the future. But what we do have is hard braking. And this MSX 84 volt, it has really good hard braking, but not as good as like any smaller wheel because of its size. That's my opinion. But what I've noticed is if you take your butt and you drop it down into the seat, not too far down. The farther you go, the better. But you literally have to stress out your thighs and your legs, your feet into the pedal. As you're dropping your butt, you're literally forcing it down into the pedal while leaning back in an even way, in an even fashion. So the left leg cannot be pressing more than the right leg and vice versa. That's going to cause wobbles immediately, even if you're stooping. So what's important is while you're riding really fast and you want to do an emergency brake, take your, you don't even have to, you don't necessarily need to drop your butt into the ground, but dropping your butt into the ground while while at a high rate of speed allows you to stop abruptly without wobbles. That's the most important thing about dropping your butt into the seat, is preventing wobbles and stopping quicker. You know what I mean? All right, so there's another way to brake as well. So if you're riding really fast and you decide you don't want to take your butt into the, you don't want to bring your butt down into the seat, then what I recommend is braking, but looking ahead. This cannot be an emergency, okay? Because this 84 volt, and I'm not sure about the 100 volt, but the 84 volt does not have hard enough braking so that you can stop quickly without dropping your butt into the seat. That's what I've noticed. This is exactly what I've noticed. So I've tried it at 38 miles an hour, 39 miles an hour, just trying to stop abruptly, and I get more wobbles when I'm standing, meaning when I'm a little bit up. But when I take my butt and I bring it down into the seat, the wheel stops beautifully. And what's cool is, here's the coolest part about stopping abruptly or as quick as you can with your butt being dropped into the seat. You can maneuver. So you still have room to maneuver. So let's say you come up short, right? Let's say there's a pothole, or there's a car, or there's a dog, or whatever. Stopping, train. Okay, so you attempt to stop, right? You attempt to do an emergency brake, but something's in your way, all right? But what you want to do is, let's say you come up short. Well, with this form of braking where you take your butt and press it into the seat while pressing into the pedals with both feet evenly, what that allows for you to do, it allows for you to maneuver left and right. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to come to a stop in order for you to try to evade a situation, an obstacle or whatever. But it does allow you to stop to a point where you can start maneuvering. And that's what I love about dropping your butt into the seat. You know what I mean? So basically what I'm trying to say is braking is not merely about stopping. It's about being able to maneuver when you come up short. Okay, because you're gonna come up short if you're riding that fast. You know what I mean? 35, 38, even 25 miles an hour, depending on the situation. But what I find is you don't really need to stoop down if you're going under 30 miles an hour, because it's not that fast. So, for example, another thing I notice is braking in turns. Braking in turns is the same thing, except when you're braking on a straight plane, you have to evenly press into the pedals, right, to prevent wobbles. When you're braking in a turn or a curve, not a sharp turn, a curve, because in a sharp turn you hopefully would be moving a lot slower, right? But in a turn, a bend, you can actually reach speeds of 38 miles an hour in a proper bend, in a nice little curve. So if you attempt to do an emergency brake in a curve, that's a little different. Now you really have to pay attention to the weight. Okay, you have to pay attention to the weight of the wheel. If you're someone who rides like a drunken master style, or someone who crouches and you're going that fast in a turn, then more weight is going to have to be placed on one end versus the other, depending on how the turn is. Okay, because what happens is the wheel is already bending, depending on what it is. For example, if you have a 9-baud Z10, for example, the 9-baud Z10 always wants to stay up straight, right? So braking in a turn with a 9-baud Z10 is way different than braking in a turn with an MSX, for example. Okay? So, yeah, let me just do some demonstrations, and that's pretty much all I gotta say, guys. You just have to... Oh, another thing is, sometimes, regarding emergency braking, you will, like I said, you will come up short sometimes. One way to take care of that is by doing what I said, dropping your butt straight into the seat. But also, another thing is, you will have to anticipate. So sometimes you will not be able to stop on time. This is where the maneuvering comes in. But prepare yourself to keep moving. Okay, because sometimes you will not be able to come to a stop. And I hope this happens to no one, but wobbles will happen if you're not used to this form of braking. If you're used to if you're used to slowing down and then coming to a stop as your emergency, that's not gonna work in an emergency, okay? You're gonna hit something, you're gonna go off. But if you're trying to adopt this type of braking into your riding, it's gonna take time. You're gonna experience some wobbles if you're going above 25, because you're new, 25 to 30 miles an hour. 30 plus miles an hour, you're definitely gonna get wobbles if you're not pressing into the pedals evenly. I keep saying this over and over again, but you get the point, guys. Braking at high rate of speed requires you to press into the pedals evenly. So now what I'm gonna attempt to do is start over there. Okay, I'm gonna start over there, ride this way, try to bend here, go up, come around, and end up at my gym, because that's where I'm going, guys. I'm headed to the gym. And I'm gonna try to put the speed on the screen, okay, from this phone, and you guys can assess for yourselves how braking might work for you. It's a very short video, but there's really not much to braking. It's just a lot of practice. You have to practice, get it done, get out of the way, and that's it. Till next time, guys.